Hello and welcome, guys, to our very first lesson in our introduction to graphic design with contemporary tools. My name is Mike Akati and I'll be your tutor for this course. Let's go. So, who is this course ideal for? Basically, this course is for anyone that does graphic design casually or who wants to learn how to do graphic design but in a more relaxed approach. So for this course, we'll be looking at these main things. We'll look at some basic considerations in graphic design. We'll look at some tools and platforms to use. We'll look at some practical examples on how to go about certain designs. And then we'll look at how to level up your graphic design skills. All right, I'd like to begin with a tip. Always remember that a tool is only as powerful as the one who wields it. So usually the tool should be right for the job, but you should also know how to use the tool very well. That's what will set you apart, and not just having some basic knowledge of the tool. Learn to master whatever tool you use for your graphic design. All right, so let's look at some basic considerations in graphic design. Once again, I'm not going to go too much deeply into what graphic design is and history of graphic design and all of that. I think you could easily watch a few videos online or do a bit of Google search to read up on those. But here are few key things you need to consider before you do a bit of graphic design with contemporary tools. You need to have some knowledge of typography, some understanding of colors, a bit of understanding of layouts, and your file formats. So what does typography entail? Basically, it's got to do with how you arrange text in a way that your end user can easily understand or consume the information you're trying to communicate. Usually, a good rule of thumb is to avoid using more than 3 font types in your design. It keeps it simple and easy on the eye when the font types are simple. You also need to read a bit about your font families like your sans serif, your serifs, among others. Now let's take a look at this simple example. Design A on the left and design B on the right. With design A, the maximum font types used are 2, whereas in design B, there's about 3 different ones. Even though it's not more than 3 on the right, you see that the design A on the left looks more pleasant to the eye or more comfortable to the eye compared to design B. So these are some of the things you need to consider. Maintaining fewer fonts helps your design to be a bit more consistent compared to using so many multiple fonts. Now let's look at colors. So colors play an essential role in how your design is going to look. I know a lot of people struggle with picking the right design to use for their work. One simple tool you can use is a website called colors.co, which helps you generate colors for your design, and it's a very useful tool, as we'll see in our subsequent graphic design lessons. In terms of layout, we are basically looking at how you arrange the elements in your graphic design work. That could also be a bit of a stress for some people. However, it's usually good to start with a blank canvas and then have some inspiration to guide you. You could use websites like behance.net or canva.com templates as a way to start to help you get started with your design. Now lastly, with file formats. Different types of designs will require to be saved in different file formats. For instance, if you are designing a logo, you might want to export it as a .png file so that you can have one without the background. And if you're working on an image, you might want to export it as a JPEG file. Oftentimes, just doing a simple Google search will help you find the right answer as to what file format you should save as. However, when you're using a website like canva.com, the formats are already inbuilt to the platform, so it's easier to save as the format that you prefer. So that's a good way to get things done. One last thing I'd like you to always consider is that graphic design is a very broad field, and it covers so many areas, even touching on photography, illustration, digital painting, digital art, 3D art, virtual reality art, and more. So you need to decide where you fit or what you want to do and what tools will be suitable for that particular design. Today's class is more of an introductory and theory, theory-based session. But in the subsequent classes, we're going to jump straight into the tools that we're going to use, and hopefully we would be able to have a bit more fun when we get there. Thanks so much for taking part in this very brief first lesson. See you guys in the much longer next sessions. Thank you.